Now, this section is going to introduce you to Power BI and how we can use Power BI to analyze and visualize your data. So what we are going to do is to work on how you'll be able to produce this sample dashboard here. So let me take you through how this dashboard works, and then we'll go straight and then look at how you'll be able to design something like this. So here we have slices here. So I have slicer for gender, age groups, destination city, origin city, payment modes, and then destination countries. Then I also have the year slicer here. So here, based on the data that we have different customers who booked hotels via our platform. So we are trying to put everything together into developing a dashboard. So here, if I want to filter the data by gender, I can come to the gender slicer, click on the drop down, and if I want to filter by maybe females, I just pick female. And now you can see that the data will be filtered to show all the transactions relating to the female customers. If I want for males, I just select males from here. And now the dashboard is going to filter to show you the transactions coming from our male customers. Then I also have age group slicer here. So here we grouped our customers into different age groups buckets. So here, if I want to see transactions from our customers from 15 to 30 years, I can just select the range from here. Now the data will be filtered to show me the transactions relating to my selection from the slicer. If I go here, I'll be able to also get that insight. So let's take a look at the data. So let me open it from Excel. Then we are going to look at how you'll be able to put everything together into a comprehensive dashboard. So I will take your questions at the end of the section. Okay, so if you have any questions, kindly hold on. I'll make sure I'll be able to do this within at most 45 minutes. Then I'll give room for you to ask your questions, okay? And because the section is also recorded, I would encourage all of you to keep your mics on mute. Keep all your mics on mute so that I'll be able to record the section and then share with you. So now this is the data that we were provided, okay, for the data challenge. This is the data that we have been able to develop a dashboard out of. So if you take a look at this data, these are the columns that we have. So as I said, this relates to a hotel booking platform. So we have different customers who booked for hotels via that platform. So we have collected their data over time, and we are trying to analyze it to understand our customers and also understand the performance of the business. So if you take a look at this, we have booking ID. For each of the booking that the customers does on the platform, we have an ID that is going to be generated for each of the booking. So we have the booking ID. Then we have the date of the booking. So when you click on the drop down here, you see that we have different years. So we have from 2016 to 2019. Now, when it comes to the year column, that's where we have the year. So we extracted the year from the date here. So now when you click on the drop down, you see that we have from 2011 up to, no, it's supposed to be from 2016 up to 2019. So this data here, I changed the date, so that might be the reason. So let me get rid of it, okay? I'll show you how you'll be able to generate the year out of this date when we get to Power BI. Then we also have the time of the booking. Then each of the customers also has an ID. So you have the customer's ID here. Then you also have the gender of the customer, whether the customer is a female or the customer is a male. Then we have the age of the customer. Then we also have the origin country of the customer, where the customer is booking from. So we have the origin country, which has to do with the origin of the customer or where the customer is booking from. Then we also have the state of that particular country. Then we also have the specific location. Then we also have this destination country column. So this has to do with where the customer is traveling to. Where is the customer traveling to? So we have different countries here. And then we also have the destination city. So when it picks a particular country, we are looking at the city where the customer is traveling to. Then we are looking at the number of people. So when they book for the hotel, how many people are they booking with? Maybe a single person, maybe they are booking with their entire family. So here we have numbers ranging from 1 up to 7. Then we also have the check-in, the time that they check into the hotel. Then we also have the number of days that they spent in the hotel. Then we also have the check-out date. Then we are looking at the room. So whether they pick one room or they pick 2 rooms or 3 rooms. Then we also have the hotel name. So when they order or they book online, they have option to select the hotel that they are booking. So here we have the hotel name. Then after they have stayed in the hotel, they are supposed to leave out some reviews. So these are the ratings that we received from each of the customers. Then we also have different payment options for the customers. So these are the payment options that we have for the customers. Then we also have the bank name, the bank that they are paying with. Then you also have this number of days and booking are already here. So let me delete them. We don't need these columns. And then we also have the booking price and then the discount that we offer to the customers. Then we also have this tax here. And then we also have the profit margin on each of the booking. So as a company or as a booking platform, our main source of revenue comes from the profit margin that we are getting. Okay, so we have the profit margin here. So this is the data that we are trying to put together into a comprehensive dashboard using Power BI. So after looking at the data, now let's move on into Power BI and see how we'll be able to get this data and then analyze it. So I'm going to open my Power BI. So now this is the Power BI interface. So this is the Power BI. So those of us who have not yet started with Power BI, this is how the Power BI environment looks like. So as I mentioned, Power BI is a business intelligence tool that helps you to analyze data from different sources and come up with interactive and dynamic dashboards and reports. So when you open this, the first stage is about getting the data. Now, Power BI is not like a database where you already have the data. Here we are looking at data which is external to Power BI. So the first stage is about getting the data. Now, after you have gotten your data, the next stage is about how you'll be able to clean and transform the data. One of the key things that you'll be doing as a data analyst is about data transformation and data cleaning. Most of the time, the data you'll be working with may not be in the format that you can work with. Now, Power BI has a tool, that is the Power Query, that helps you to be able to clean and transform your data. Then after you have cleaned and transformed your data, the next stage is about data modeling. Now you find yourself working with multiple data sources and multiple tables. Now using the data model in Power BI, you'll be able to create relationships and then manage the relationships between different tables and data from different sources. Now after you have modeled your data, then you can go ahead and analyze the data using DAX and other advanced tools that we have in Power BI. Now after analyzing your data, the next stage is about visualizing your data. Now, if you take a look at this, Power BI has a lot of visualization tools that helps you to visualize the data and bring your data to life. So I'm going to get you started with connecting to data. So here on the Home tab, when you come to the Home tab, you come to Get Data. Now we have some quick access here, which all provides you access to some of the data sources that you can connect to within Power BI. So here you can connect to data from Excel workbook, Power BI dataset, SQL Server, or you can enter data manually. But if you click on Get Data, you can see that we have different data sources here. So here we have common data sources, and we have Excel, Power BI datasets, Power BI data flow, SQL Server, a text file, data from the web, or a blank query. But when you click on More, you'll be able to see more advanced data sources that you'll be able to get access to when you are using Power BI. So let's see some of the data sources here. So here, if you take a look at this, we have grouped them into different sections. So we have all. So this gives you access to all the data sources that you'll be able to use Power BI to connect to. But we also have different categories. So we have file. When you go to file, we have different data connectors, like Excel workbook, a text file, a CSV, a JSON file, PDF, a folder, and all the rest. We also have databases where you can find something like Microsoft Access Database, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle Database, and a lot more. Now, depending on where you are working and your exposure to some of these data sources, some of them may not be familiar to you, okay? But you can see that we have some of them that are very common and basic, like Access Database. We also have Power Platform, where you can connect data from Power BI dataset or data flows. You can also come to Azure, where you'll be able to connect to so many options under this category. Then you also have online services. So here you can connect to data from Dynamics 365, Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics. You can also connect to data from GitHub. Those of us who are coming from data science and analytics background, you are familiar with GitHub. Then we also have SharePoint. So if you have data on the SharePoint, you'll be able to also connect to that. Then you also have others or other. So here you can connect to data from a web page or a website. You can connect data using Active Directory. You can connect data to an R script or a Python script. Okay, but here, because the data that we are working with is in Excel format, we just go to File, and we have Excel workbook. So we are going to use this to connect to the data. So I'll select this and click Connect. And here it opens to your file location where you'll be able to locate where the data is. So the data that we are working with is the hotel booking challenge. So this is the data that I opened right now in Excel. So I'm going to connect to this data. So I'll select this and click Open. So now if you take a look at that workbook, we have two main sheets. So we have the dictionary, which this explains each of the data columns. Then we also have the other database, which is where we have the actual data. So here you have the option to select multiple items at the same time. So here I can select multiple items here. So you can select each of them and also get a preview. So let me uncheck this, select this, and then take a preview of the data. So if you take a look at each of the tables, you'll be able to take a preview of how the data looks like before you load it into Power BI. So if you take a look at this, this is the same data that we saw in Excel, where we have the booking ID, the date of the booking, the time, customer ID, the gender of the customer, the age, the origin country, and the rest. But if you take a look at the dictionary here, it just explains each of the columns. So we're not going to connect to this particular worksheet, okay? We are just going to pick the other database. So I'll select this. And here I have three options. I can cancel if I don't want to connect to that data again, or I can transform the data. We also have the load option where you'll be able to load the data directly into Power BI. But I always tell my students, regardless of the data that you are working with, always pick transform and then go and take a preview of the data before you load it into Power BI. So here I'm going to pick transform, and this will take me to the Power Query editor where I'll be able to transform the data. So I'm going to pick transform data. So here we are now in the Power Query editor. Now the data is not yet in Power BI. The data is in the Power Query editor. So here you'll be able to transform and clean the data. Now the first thing that we are going to do here is to check the data type for each of our columns. And that's one of the key things that you have to watch out for when you are connecting to data. Now each of the columns here has a data type. So you have to make sure you're having the right data types. Because if you have, for instance, if you have a date and the date is not formatted properly, using it within Power BI might be challenging. So you have to make sure it's properly formatted. If you have a number, you have to make sure the number is formatted as a number so that you can perform some calculations on it. So now for each of the columns, you see that we have this symbol in front of them. So here you see ABC. This tells you that this is a text, okay? So now I click on this icon here. It gives me access to all the data types that we have within Power BI or Power Query. So here we have decimal, we have fixed decimal, whole number, percentage, date or time, and then date. You also have date, time, and then time zone. You also have text, okay? So the text here has to do with this. So here, if you take a look at this, this is the proper format for this column. This should be classified as a text. So here, everything is okay. Now, one thing is that when you are connecting to data, Power Query automatically transform the data by looking at the columns and the content of each of the column and tries to do automatic transformation for you when it comes to data type. So always you have to make sure Power Query is doing the right thing. Sometimes it doesn't do the right thing. So you have to make sure you check it, you inspect it, and make sure you're having the right data type before you use it. So now I'll just go to the dates. So you see that this one is a date. And if you look at the content, this is a proper date. Then this is also a time. If you take a look at this, this is also properly classified as time. Then we also have the customer ID, which is also formatted as a text. We also have gender, age, which is a number. Then we also have the origin country, the state, the location, all these are text. And then when you come to destination country, destination city, number of people. This is a number. So you see 1, 2, 3. Then you also have check-in date, number of days, checkout. It seems that all the data types are correct for each of our columns. Hotel name is also formatted as a text. Then hotel rating is also a decimal. Payment method, the bank name, all of them are text. Then if you take a look at the booking price, this is also formatted as a number. So here you also have currency. Okay, you have percentage and a whole number or a decimal. You also have fixed decimal here, which denotes currency. Okay, so it depends on what you want to pick. You can format it as a currency, or you can format it as a decimal or maybe a whole number. They also have discounts. So the discount here is a percentage. But if you take a look at this, this has been formatted as a decimal. So I can click on the data types and change it to percentage. Here I have two options. So as I mentioned, Power Query does automatic transformation. So here is asking whether I want to replace the current or I want to add it as a new step. So I'm going to pick add new step. And now you see that this has been formatted as a percentage. The same thing here. If you take a look at this, this is also a decimal, but I'm sure this is also a percentage. So you can also click on the drop down and pick percentage. Then the profit margin, this is also a percentage. So we change it to percentage. And now you can see that now everything has been formatted properly. Everything has been formatted properly. So now we have everything here. So these are some of the basic transformations that we are going to do to our data set. So now within the Power Query editor, whatever transformation that you are doing to your data is being recorded for you. And that's the more reason why we use Power Query to automate processes in data transformation. So that next time, if I connect to a similar data set, I can use the same transformation that I have done to this data and replicate it on the new data set. So here you see something here, apply steps. This is recording all the steps that I have taken to transform this data. So here, what it means is that if you do anything and you want to reverse it, you can't use Ctrl+Z unless you come to the apply step and delete that particular step. So let's try an example here. Let's assume that we want to remove this column. I can just select this column, right click and pick remove. Now watch this, look at the last step here. The last step here is change type 1. When I pick remove column, you see that now here, another step has been recorded, removed columns. So it's saying that I removed columns. Now, if I want to reverse what I just did, I just have to come to apply steps and then remove or delete this step. And now the data will be restored. So here, if I click on this, now you can see that now the column is back. So when you're using the Power Query, you can't do Ctrl+Z to undo something that you have done unless you come to apply step and you'll be able to change it. So everything that you are doing here is being recorded for you at apply steps. It's just like using macros in Excel. With macros, it's recording everything that you have done. If you want to do the same thing, you just go to the macros and you play it. The same applies to the Power Query. The same applies to the Power Query. So now these are some of the transformations that we are going to do to this data. Now, if you take a look at our sample data, one of the things that we did is to group our customers into different age buckets. Like for example, the age here, instead of analyzing it by ages, it will not make sense. So what we did was to classify the ages into different buckets. So we have from 15 to 30, we have 30 to 45, we have 45 to 60, they also have 60 plus. So let's look at how you'll be able to do this using the Power Query. We are going to group our customers into different age buckets. Now, when you click on the drop down here, you can see that the customer, the ages start from 19. Okay, so I'm going to start from 15 to 30 and then group them into one. And then from 15 to 30, we group them into one. Then from 15 to 30, and then from 30 to 45, we also group them at one. And then from 45 to 60, we also group those people also into another bucket. So let's see how we'll be able to do this within the Power Query. Now to do this, what I would do is to go to here, add column. So here I can add additional columns to my data. So I'll go to add column. And here you have so many options that you can use to add columns to your data. So you have column from example. If you want to add column, but you want to provide Power BI with an example, then you can come to column from example. Or you can also use custom column or invoke custom column. I'm not going to take you through any of these, okay? We are going to use this option here, conditional column. So the conditional column works like the if statement in Excel. The if statement where you are writing a conditional statement. If this is this, do this. If this is that, do this. So I'm going to use this conditional column, which is very user-friendly, and it helps you to be able to come up with if statement without writing the formula yourself. So let's click on conditional column. So now this will open up this new window for you where you'll be able to write conditional statements. But here you are you are doing that using the Power Query interface. So if you take a look at this here, it says new column name. So what should be the name of the new column? We want to add a new column, but the column that we are adding here is based on a condition. The content of the column is based on a condition. So I'm going to give it a name, age group. That would be the name of the column. Now here, if you read this, it says if, then we have the column name, operator, value, and then the output. So if you know how to use if in Excel, this becomes very simple. So it says if, then we come in with a column name. So you say if here, the column name, there's a drop down here. So I'm going to click on it and you'll be able to see all the columns that we have within our data. So you are saying that if age, okay, so I'm going to click on age column. So you're saying that if the age is equals to, but here when you click on the drop down, we have so many operators. That's not equal, is greater than or equal to, is less than or equal to. So let's do this. So we are going to start from 60. So you are saying that, no, we are going to start from 45. So you are saying that if the age of the customer is greater than or equal to 45, then the output should be 45 to 60. That's the bucket that we are doing. So it means that if you find any customer whose age is 45, 46, 47, 48, then the person falls within this age category or age group. So this is the first condition that we are going to do here. So you are saying that if age is greater than or equal to 45, then the output should be 45 to 60. Now here I can click on this to add another clause. So I'll click here. And then the same thing, it says else if. So if this condition is not met, check if the age, this time, if it's greater or equal to 30. If it's so, then make it 30 to 45. So it means that if you find a customer who is 31, 32, 33, up to 44, then the customer falls within this group. Now let's add another one. So we are saying if the age is greater or equal to 15, then the customer should be grouped into this 15 to 30 bucket. Okay, that's what we are doing here. Now, these are the three conditions that we are going to check. Okay, so if it's above 45, then it falls within 45 to 60. If it's above 30, then it's 30 to 45. If it's above 15, it's 15 to 30. Then if none of these conditions is met, then the output, that's the else statement here. The output means the customer here is less than 15 years. That's what we are doing here. So these are the age bucket that we are going to use. So someone has raised a hand. So let me see if he has any questions. Okay, you can go ahead with your question. Monk.
Hi, FestMan.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, thank you for inviting us to the meeting. Now, I have a question on the output. Won't the output be confusing because you're saying when the value of age is between 30 or greater than when the age value is 30 or greater than 30, the output should read 30 to 45. Then when the age is 45 or greater, it still will read 45 to 50. We're not seeing that, okay, let's say when the age is 45, 44, we'll still get and how to put saying it's within 30 to 45. Okay,
Yes.
okay, I get it. Oh, I
Okay.
get it. Get it. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. So now that's what we are doing here. Okay. So it means that if you get a customer who is 44, then it falls within this bucket because 44 is not greater than 45. So it will fall between this range here to not go to the next output or the next group. Okay. So after you have done all these, then you just click OK. And now we have our output here. Okay. So the age group, so we have 30 to 45, and then we also have 15 to 30, depending on the age of the customer. Okay. So these are the few things that we are going to do at the Power Query level. Now, after we have done this, the next stage is about loading the data into Power BI. Currently, the data is not in Power BI. It's within the Power Query editor. So after you have done all your transformation, what you do is that on the Home tab, we have Close and Apply. This is what we use to load the data into Power BI. So after doing all my data transformation, I'll just click on Close and then Apply. And now the data is being loaded into Power BI. So now if you come back to Power BI here, on your right side, you see that we have fields. And here it gives us the name of the table, the name of the table. So you see the order database here. So that's the table that we are working with. So now when you click on this to expand it, you'll be able to see all the columns that we have in the order database. So we have the age group, bank name, and all the columns that we saw on the Power Query editor. But here within Power BI, we have three main types or three main views. So what we are looking at is the report view. This is the report view. Then we also have the data view. So this is where you go and then take a look at the data itself. So when you click on data view, you'll be able to see the data in the form of a table. So here we have the order ID, date of booking, the time, customer ID, the gender, the age, and other information that we saw on the Power Query editor. Then you also have the model view. When you go to the model view, you see that we have just one table. Okay, so in instances where you have multiple tables, you can see that all the tables will be here, and you can start modeling your data by creating relationships and doing other things. But here we just have one table. We just have one table or a single table. Yeah, so you can go ahead with your question, Hockett.
Yeah, thank you very much, FestMan. I realized that when we went to the data view, before we imported the data into the Power BI, we made some additions in the Power Query by adding the age group. But when the data view came here, I didn't see that column, or maybe it was hidden or something.
Yeah, so the column is here. So now I go to data view here. Remember, we added it to the end of the columns or the end of the data. So we have it here. So that's it. So whatever that you do to the data, when it comes to model view, it will come in here. Right now, if you go back to Power Query and remove the column, when you come back here, the column will not be here. Yeah, so the column is here. Yeah. So at the model view, this is where you'll be able to create your relationships among tables if you have multiple tables. But here we just have one table. Okay, so that's the one that we are seeing here. So now let's go to the data view and see some of the things that we can do here. So at the data view here, you can select any of these columns, and you can also change the data type as well as the format. Even though on Power Query, you can do that. But when you come here, you also have the option to change the data type. For example, if you select this, on the ribbon, you see that we have table tools and column tools. So when you come to the column tools, you see that this particular column here, the data type is date. When you click on the drop down, you see that we have all the data types here. So if I need to change it, I can also change it from here. Then you also have the format. So here you see that the format here is the day, the month, and then the day number, and then the year. When I click on the drop down, if I want to change the format, I can also change it from here. Maybe I want to pick a short date. I can pick this as my short date. Maybe I want to use a different date format. I have that option to select it from here. So I can maybe pick this one. And now you can see that the format for this particular table or that particular column would change. Okay, you see that everything has changed here. And then when you go to a particular number and you also want to change the format, for example, with this one, hotel rating, if I also want to change it, you see that the data type here is decimal number. If I want to change the format, I can also change it. Is it currency? Is it a decimal number, a percentage, or scientific? You'll be able to do all these things here. Another thing is about columns, okay? When you have numbers and you try to put the numbers to build your report, by default, Power BI sometimes aggregate it. For example, if I come to my report view, I'm just demonstrating something, okay? So don't get confused if you're a beginner, okay? If I put something like age, if I pick the age here, if I select this age and then I just check the box in front of the age. Now look at what happens here. You see that it has aggregated the age into one bar here. Now this is using a column chart. If I change this to a card, okay, I'll take you through all these things. It says 3 million, but we can't add age, or we are not supposed, or it doesn't make sense to add ages. So here, when you come to the data view, I can select this column. And here on the column tools, you see that we have properties and we have summarization. And this summarization is set to sum. That's the more reason why you are seeing the ages being summed for us. Okay, but here the ages doesn't make sense to sum the ages. So instead of sum, we can click on the drop down and say don't summarize. Don't summarize. And then it means that when you start building your report and you are trying to use the age, it will not be summarized for you. So this is another thing that you also have to pay attention to. Okay, that's what you also need to pay attention to. Now, the next thing I will show you here is about the date. Now, what's something here? Let me remove this visual. Now, if I select the date of booking or the booking date, if I select this, you see that here it has put it into hierarchy. Okay, so you see that you have year, quarter, month, and day. It has put it into hierarchy. So sometimes you don't want to be put into hierarchy, like you want to see the original date itself. Here you can click on the drop down and you see that we have the date hierarchy. You just have to change it to date of booking. And now you'll be able to see the proper date. Now let's put this into a line chart. So I'll just click on the line chart here. And then resize this. And then maybe I want to look at the number of bookings over the period. So I just drag my booking ID or the customer ID into the values. And here you see a line chart here, giving us how our customers' booking have been changing over a period. Okay, so this is also another thing. Sometimes when you put in the date, by default, it picks date hierarchy. If you don't want the hierarchy, you can just click on the drop down here and you'll be able to change it to the original date that you want to use for your data. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start with our reporting. So let's take a look at the sample dashboard again. Let's take a look at the sample dashboard and then we can start putting the dashboard together. So this is the dashboard that we are going to put together. Okay, so here we have total booking and then the booking amount and then the profit. Then we also have total customers here. So I'm going to see how we'll be able to do all these things. So the next thing I will show you is the background that we are using for the dashboard. So before you come up with your dashboard, you have to sit back and then plan for your dashboard, how you want the dashboard to look like and the kind of insight you want to put on your dashboard. This is one of the things that you have to start even before you tackle the data modeling and the data visualization. You have to sit back and look at how your dashboard will look like. So if you take a look at the background here, I developed everything in PowerPoint. So I'm going to show you the background and then we see how we'll be able to put it together. So here I'm going to do a new share. So go to PowerPoint. So I go to PowerPoint. There's the background. That's the design that I did in PowerPoint, which we are using for this dashboard. So we have this one here. So if you take a look at this, all these are shapes, okay? All these are shapes in PowerPoint. So I inserted everything here. So I will send this to you after the section. I'll send it to you so that you can also work around your own dashboard. So after you have developed it, this one is very, let me insert a new slide and then show you briefly how you'll be able to do this. So it's just about using shapes, okay? So just go to insert, and here we have shapes. So I just pick one of the shapes. Mostly I use this rounded edge shape here. So I'm going to select this and then drag to draw my shape, okay? And then you see this here, which you can use it to resize the corners or the round edge corners. So you can actually increase it or decrease it, okay? So I'll just move it to this side, this okay. And then if you want to change the color, you can come to the shape fill and then change it to the color of your choice. It depends on how you want your dashboard to look like, your color schemes and other things. So I'm just going to pick this color here, okay? And then with the border, I don't want anything on the border. So I just come to the format, shape outline. I click on the drop down and I'll say no outline so that there wouldn't be any outline around this. I'll go ahead and then insert another shape, which I'm going to use for this. So I'll come here, go to insert, shape, and then I pick the same shape, and then I resize it here, okay? Now the next thing for me to do here is to make sure I resize the rounded edge so it will be like the original shape that we have here. So I'll select it and then resize it nicely. The same way I'll select this, go to shape fill, and then pick maybe this color. So it depends on the colors that you are using. Okay, so after selecting this shape outline, I'll also set it to no outline. That's fine. Then you see these small shapes here, which I'm going to use for my KPIs. I'll just come here, insert, shape, and then I'll pick this, then resize it nicely here. So maybe something like this, then resize it, place it here, and then change the color. So I'll come to shape fill. I can pick one of the colors that I'm using. Okay, because I have used these colors already, they are available to me, but you have to decide on the colors that you want to use. So maybe I want to pick this. No, let me pick this one. And then also set the shape outline to none. Okay, and then I'll just duplicate this. So Control D, and I'll be able to duplicate this. And I can resize it here, and then change the fill color, and then pick this. Then I also duplicate this again, then do another duplicate. So I have these four here. So I just change this color here. Okay, now you can see that we are producing the same thing, but just that these shapes are bigger than the ones that we have here. Okay, so what I will do is just ignore one of them. Okay, then the next one has to do with this small one here. So I'll just duplicate this and then put it here and also resize it nicely and then reduce it this way. Okay, then I need the shapes which are holding this. Okay, so I just come here, duplicate one of them and bring it here, and then resize it. And then the fill, I'm going to pick white and then also duplicate it. So this will also be here. Let me put this up small. This one come in here. Okay, so I have these two. So I'll just select the two together. Okay, Rocket.
Yeah, so FestMan, what it means is that before you start designing all this, your shapes and other stuff, you should have pre-planned the analysis you are going to do, as in the items that you focus on.
Exactly. You have planned how the dashboard will look like, the kind of information that are very key to your audience, and that needs to be on the dashboard. You have planned everything.
Okay.
You have planned everything, yeah. Okay. So now select the two of them and then duplicate them together and then drag it here and then duplicate again and also place them here. Okay, so that's very simple. So maybe I want to resize this to go up a bit to meet this. Okay. Now after you've done this, you see that I have some icons, some images here. These images are online. So depending on the analysis that you are doing and the kind of data that you are working with, You can search for images online, but you have to make sure you get some of them that have backgrounds that can complement the colors that you are using. So you can see that the shapes here are white. So I got an image with a white background so that I can place it directly on them without being destructive. Okay, so these are just icons. So just maybe I copy this, and then you come in here and then you find a better place or position to place these ones. So I can decide to even place it on this, or maybe resize it and then place it in between the two shapes. Okay, position them in between the two shapes. So this is something that you can easily work with. Okay, so now we have our background. So let's assume that this is the background that we are developing. Let me undo this. Okay, so now after you have designed your dashboard, the background in PowerPoint, you can't use the PowerPoint slide directly on the Power BI report. You have to save this as an image before you can use it in Power BI. So what I will do is that I'm going to hit Control A to select all the elements on the slides. And then I'm going to right click. Yes, you can pull the images from the web. So you just go to Insert. Okay, so here within PowerPoint, you go to Insert. And then here you have online pictures. So you can use this option to get the data or the pictures directly from online, and you can pull it into your dashboard design. Okay, so you can get it directly from online. Any website that has the data, and you'll be able to download the images, and you'll be able to download it. You'll be able to use this. Okay. So after you are done, you select all the elements, then you right click. And then you see this option, save as picture. So you just go to save as picture, and then you can save it at a location where you'll be able to access it. So maybe on your desktop will be fine. Then you can save it there. So if you take a look at this, I have already saved it here. So I'm going to cancel this step because I already have the image being saved. So after saving it, then the next thing is to move into Power BI. Please, can the data set link be reshared? Okay, so those of us who have the data, kindly share it in the chat. Okay, so now let me go back to Power BI. And let's see how we'll be able to do this. So now here in Power BI, let me get rid of this visualization. So let's see how you'll be able to use this here. So now you see that we are the report view. That's where you develop your dashboard. So here, there's nothing here. Now, when you come to the visualizations pane, we have this option here, format. When you click on the format, we have page info. We have the page size and then the page background. So I'm going to click on the drop down for the page background. Now with the page background, you see that we have color. So here you can choose your own color. So maybe I want to use this color. Now you don't see anything here because here the transparency is set to 100. So if I decide to make it 0, now you see the color here. If I want to use a different color, I just pick it and you'll be able to see the background. Now you also have this option here to add image. So I'm going to click on this. And then now this is my image. So I'll just select this image and click open. And now my image is here. Okay. So now you can see that it's not fitting properly. Now, when you scroll further, you see that we have the image fit options. So this is set to normal. I'm going to click on the drop down and pick fit. And now you can see that the image is fitting properly here. Now the background, because we picked blue, is interfering with this. Let me go back to the white. And now you see that we have our background here. Okay, so we have set everything here. So now it means that we are able to go with the visuals that we want to use for the dashboard. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to set the background. Now let's look at some of the analysis that we can perform on this data. Now the first is about the total booking, our total booking. How many bookings have you seen over the period? How many bookings have you seen over the period? So here, when you come to our data here, we have this booking ID, okay? Now let's write a very simple DAX or formula to calculate the number of items that we have in the booking ID column. This has to do with the bookings that we have seen so far. Okay, so I'll go to the visualizations, the report view. And here, when you hover your mouse over the table, you see this ellipsis here. we have the option to create a measure. So in Power BI, we do all the calculations using DAX. If you are in Power Query, then we can use M. I don't want it to be too technical, okay? But the DAX is the formula that we use within Power BI. Now the DAX has functions just like the functions that we have in Excel: sum, count, min, average, switch, if, and all some of the financial functions that we have in Excel, some of the logical functions. We can see a lot of functions, okay? So here, one of the ways that we write formulas is to create a measure. So here, what I would do is to go ahead and then pick this option, create measure, or even on the home tab, you see calculations. We have measure, okay? So I'm going to click on a measure. So creating a measure is just like writing a formula, okay? So just forget about the measure. Let's write a formula. So I'll just click on new measure. And here we have to write it. So just like the formula bar that we have in Excel, just that here we don't have cells. Here we are dealing with columns and tables, okay? So here the first thing is to type the name of the measure. So our measure is going to be total booking, okay? And this will be equal to what? Here we want to count the booking ID column. So I'll just type count, okay? So you can see that some of the functions are just like the ones that we have in Excel. We have count, count A, count X, count blank, count rows. So here you can decide to use count, or you can decide to use count rows. Okay, so let's use count. Okay, now let's read the syntax. So count. And now here is asking for the column name. What column do you want to count? And here it gives you all the columns. But here, what's something here? You can see that here it asks the name of the table, and it comes with open square brackets, and it provides the name of the column. It's the same thing that we have in Excel when you are looking at Excel tables, okay? So there's not something new. So here you just have to look for the column that you want to count. So here we are just working with one table, other database, and we want to count the booking ID. So I'll just select this and then close this. That's the only thing I need. Then I'll just press enter. And now, if you come back to this, you see that we have this booking, total booking. And you can see that the icon in front of it is different from the icons that you are seeing for the table columns. Now, if you see icon like this, it tells you that this is a measure or a calculation that you have done. This is a measure, okay? So I can select this as a measure. And here you see that we have measure too. So you can format it properly. And that's one of the key things that you have to watch out for. Make sure your calculations, your measures, and everything are formatted properly. Now, this is a number. So you see that the data format here, the format here is whole number. And we also have this comma here. So let's add some comma separator. Okay, so I'll click on this. And now this will add a comma separator to this calculation. Okay, so now let's use this and see what the value is. So to be able to use it, you just come to the fields. You just check the box in front of that particular measure. So I'm going to check the box here. And you see that it appears here in the form of a column chart. So by default, Power BI picks one of the visualizations for you. Now, in situations where you have a single number, like total booking, one of the visuals that we use is a card. So when you come to your visualizations, you see that we have this 1, 2, 3, which is a card. Okay, so I will click on the card. So with this activated, with this visual activated, I can change it. Here is showing a column chart. I can just select it, come to the visualizations and click on this. And now it becomes a card. And now this gives you 67,000 as our total booking. 67,000 as our total booking. So what I would do is to, here, with the card that you have inserted, you can format it, okay? So here we have the field. Instead, the field is total booking. That's what you are using for this card. But you see this middle icon here, it says format. So you can actually format it. So you come here, the number that you are seeing here is the data label. So when you click on this to expand it, you see that the display unit is in thousands. If you don't want the display unit, you can click on the drop down here. And then instead of it being in thousands, you can pick none. And now you see the value here. That this is giving you 66,000. Okay, this is giving you 67,000, 66,000. Okay, and then here you can also increase the size. Okay, if you want to increase the size, you can also click on this to increase the size. You can also increase the size. You see the font style. If you want to change the font family, you can also click on the drop down and change the font style. So most of the time, what I use is this option here. Either I pick Sego UI semi-bold. So I can pick this for this, or maybe you just go with a normal Sego here, and this will be the value that you are seeing here. Okay. Now we are going to put this on this card. It doesn't need to have this white background. Okay. So here, when it comes to the formatting, we see we have background. I'm going to turn it off so it will be transparent. So I'll click here, and now I'll be able to turn off the background. So you see that there's no background for this. Okay. Then the next thing I will do is to resize this nicely, and then drag it and then drop it on my card. But you can see that the size is too big. So here, when I come to data label, you see that I have the text size here. I can change it to maybe something like 25. So you can just play around it, the one that will fit properly. So here we are using 25. It seems too small. So let's make it 30. Now we have it here. Okay. Then I can change the color. Okay. So you see that we have the data label, the color here. Let's change it to white so it will be able to stand out. And now you see the value here. Okay. So let me resize it nicely. Let me bring it here. Okay, so Sakira is saying any difference between one directly dragging the booking ID and format as count as compared to using a measure. So one thing is that here, you see the booking ID that we used, you can actually drag it here. Okay, and here you'll be able to change it and pick what count. Okay, and when you count it, here you don't need to create a measure. But one thing is that when you create a measure, you have control over the measure by formatting it and doing a whole lot of things. Another thing is that when you create a measure, if I want to reuse the same calculation, I don't have to come in here and then also drag this and make sure I format it before I use it. But when you have a measure and you want to reuse it, you just go ahead because you have formatted this. You just go ahead and then use it in building another report. But when you use this one, we call it implicit measure. Implicit measure. This one is not good. It's not advisable, okay? It's not advisable because here, if I want to do the same calculation, I have to drag it and make sure you see that this one is not formatted. I have to make sure this is formatted properly. And then whenever I try to use it, I also have to do the same formatting over and over again. But when you create a measure and you apply the formatting, the same formatting is maintained when you are trying to use it on a different visual. So we always advise that try to create your own explicit measures, okay, instead of relying on the default calculation by just dragging and dropping, okay. When you are starting out as a beginner, then you can do this, but as you advance, it's better to do your own calculation so that you'll be able to format it properly and you'll be able to reuse it anytime you want to use it, okay. So I'm going to delete this. So you have it here. Now you can see that this one, total booking here, is also not standing out. Okay, so let's also give it a white color so it will also be able to stand out. So what I will do is to come to my format, and this is the category. Okay, the name that you are seeing here, total booking, is the category. So I just click on the drop down and you see the color here. So I can change the color to white. Now you are seeing it. If I want to increase the size, I can also increase the size from here. Okay, let me resize it and put it here. So that's our total booking. Now let's go ahead and then calculate our total amount from the booking. So if you take a look at the data, we have this booking amount. That's the total booking in terms of amount or in terms of value. Okay, so we have this booking fee. So let's see what the total booking fee is. The same way, I'll go ahead and create a new measure. So I'll click on this ellipsis, or on the home tab, I'll go to create measure or calculation. Okay, so just like this one, the formula bar is there. So just like writing formulas in Excel. Okay, very simple. So here I will say booking cost or booking fee. Okay, so let's do equals. And this, we are summing the booking column. Okay, not the ID. We are summing the booking column. So I just type sum. What do you want to sum? I want to sum the booking amount. So I just look for that column. Booking. So you can actually search for it, booking price. That's the booking price. So this is the column we want to sum. So I'll close the bracket and then press enter. And now this is it, okay? So I can also apply some comma separators. Okay, so now everything is fine. Now I can go ahead and then insert another card with this booking cost. So I can just select this and then pick a card and then also format it. But you see the processes that we went through in formatting this. We have to go through this over and over again. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is to just copy this. Okay, this is the fastest way you can come up with a dashboard. So I'm going to copy this. So Control C, Control V, and I'll copy this and then bring it here. Okay, now you could see that with this card, the field is total booking. What I can do is to come to the field and then drag the booking cost and replace it. Okay, and drop it here. And now you can see that this has replaced the booking fee that we initially had. So with this, I can resize it here. Now you can see that the value is too long. It will not be able to fit on the card. So here I can go and set display unit. So instead of display unit being none, let's put it in thousands. So I'll select it, come to data label and click on this to expand. And the display unit, let's pick thousands. Now this looks great. Okay, so I can just leave it this one here. Very simple. Maybe I want it to be on the same line as the booking, the total booking. So I can just bring it down a bit. Okay, now I have it here. Very simple and then straightforward. Now let's look at our total profit. So if you come here, you see that we have a profit column here, a profit column. Okay, so let's go ahead and then add our total profit margin. Okay, so I'll come here and then create another measure. But this time I'm not going to create the measure. I want someone to help me to create the measure for our total profit. So I want someone to help me to do that. I want someone who is going to guide me through how you'll be able to come up with our total profit measure. Yes, anyone who is going to try? Okay, Hockett.
All right, so we'll go to new measure.
Okay, so here I click on new measure.
Yes. So FestMan, I'm sorry, but I seem to be getting a delayed feedback. So if I'm delaying a bit, pardon me. So total profit is equal to sum. Then we look for a profit margin or margin. Yes, profit margin. Yes, please. That one. All right.
And I close the bracket.
Yes, so maybe we can format it into millions or something. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So now we have our total profit here. So what I need to do is just format it with this mouse. But there is a problem here. Okay, now let's see something. Let me drag this. Okay. And then put this onto a card. Okay, so this is giving us 12.53K. Let's change this into the display units. Let's pick none. So this is our total profit. This is our total profit. This is our total profit, but there's a problem here. I'm not sure that should be our total profit. So let's see the original data. Okay, let's see the original data. So here, the profit here, I'm thinking this profit here is actually a percentage, but not the actual value. I don't, let me see. Do you guys agree with me that this is actually a percentage, but not the actual profit? Would you guys agree with me?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a profit margin.
Yes.
Yeah, the profit, this should be a percentage. So we can apply this percentage on the booking price. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like this percentage should be on the booking price. That's the profit margin on each of the booking. Okay, so that should be the calculation. Yeah, so that should be the calculation. So let's see how we can do that within Power BI. Okay, so let's go back to this. So this calculation here, let's try to modify it. Okay, now, so that's how you'll be able to do it. If you take a look at this, we have the profit margin here and we have the cost. So it means that to be able to get our total profit, what we need to do is for each of the booking, we have to multiply this by the booking price. Okay, so here we can insert a calculated column. Okay, or a new column. Don't get confused. A calculated column is like a new column that we are inserting, but that is coming from a calculation. And it's something that we have been doing in Excel. Okay, so here, you see this option here. When you come to the table view, we have this option, calculations, and you see new column. So I'll click on this, and this will come up with a new column. Okay, so let's write a formula for our new column. So here, we need to provide the name of the column. So I will say profit. And the profit is equal to the booking price. Okay, so I'll just type booking price. Booking price times the profit margin. Very simple. Okay, so what we are saying is that for each of the lines, multiply the booking price by the profit margin. So I just press enter. Now, if you take a look at this, then we have the profit. Okay, so we have 44, 46, 19. And I think, I believe this makes sense. So what you need to do is now come back to the measure, okay, the total profit measure. And instead of summing the profit margin, let's change it to sum our new column, which is the profit. So let's search for profit instead. So profit. And now we can get our new column, which is the profit. And then press enter. And now this makes sense. Okay, so we have this as our total profit. So here, I'm not going to come up with another card and format it. I'm just going to copy this. Okay, Control C, Control V. And I'm going to drag it here. And then replace this with my total or with our total profit. So I'll just drag this and then put it onto the fields. And now this has replaced the total booking cost. And now it's showing our total profit. So now let me go to the data label and then display unit. This one, the figure is too much. So let's make it, okay, in thousands is also, okay, it's because it has 2 decimal places. So let's try to reduce the decimal places. Okay, so the decimal places, let's make it 0. Okay, and then we can drag it here. This is our total profit. Okay, so Bright, you want to ask a question?
Yes, please. So when we created a measure,
okay,
or when we're calculating the profit, could it also be possible that we do a sum, then we bring the brackets and then we multiply the profit margin by the number of the bookings, and then maybe insert parentheses when the sum is also to sum out of all of us?
Okay, so you're asking if where we created, like we can create a measure that will multiply the sum of the booking cost times the sum of the profit margin.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, because of how these two values are, when we do this, it's going to result in inaccurate value. Okay, so watch this. We can come in here, new measure, and then we say total profit, okay, and I'll make it try. So here, if we do equals sum and booking price. So you have our booking, let me search for booking price, no, this booking ID, booking price, close this, times sum, and then look for profit margin, then close this and then press enter. And now when you pick this, now watch the figure that we are going to get. Put this onto a card. Billion. Now let me go to format and then data label. I'm changing the display unit to none. Now look at the value here. This is even more than our total booking cost or the total booking price. This is even more than that. Okay, so I will explain this in a moment. Okay, why you are getting this figure. Okay, right.
Yeah, what I saw was I realized that booking rider was in bracket, so the sum was moving down. But I was thinking maybe the two of the multiplications will be in a bracket, then the sum will be outside. Multiplication of the two.
Okay. Okay, I get you right. Yeah, I get you. So now let me explain why this is going on. Okay, now let me explain why this is going on. Now, if you take a look at this, based on the formula that we are using for this, okay, based on the formula that we are using for this, when you come here, okay, what the formula is doing here is that it's going to sum the booking price together and then multiply it by the total profit margin. So that's what it's doing. It's picking this booking here and multiplying it by the sum of the profit margin column, which is wrong because here we have different profit margin for each of the values. Okay, so for each of the values, we have different percent. If this is the same thing, like the profit margin is 19% and on all the booking, then this wouldn't have been a problem. But here, different bookings have different, let me check again. Yeah, for different bookings, the profit margins are different. So he's going to sum everything and get one profit margin and then apply it on the total booking price, which makes this wrong. Okay. Yeah, so that's why we are getting that figure. So it's going to sum, because that's what we told the formula to do. It's going to sum the booking fee and give you this 14 million and then multiply it by the total profit margin. But here, the total profit margin on the booking are different. So we can use this approach. So one of the functions that we can use here, okay, I'm going to say if you can change the two items to doing summarize before applying the, no, I'm going to say it will not work. Okay, so what we can do now is that we have a formula or a DAX function, okay, that will help you to do that even without you creating another column like this, okay. So what the formula should do is that we can tell Power Query, the Power BI, or the formula is that, or what we can tell the formula is that it should go through each of the rows and then multiply the price by the profit margin for each of the rows. It should multiply the booking price and the profit margin. Then afterwards, it should sum the total. And that's what Hockett is saying, okay? That's what the formula should do for each of the rows. So when it gets to this row here, 194 should be multiplied by 0.19. Then when it comes here, it should multiply by this, for each of the rows. And afterwards, you should put the value together. So it's just like doing sum product in Excel. If you have used the sum product before. We also have a similar function in DAX or in Power BI. So let's see how this function also works. So here what I will do is I'm going to create a new measure. Okay, average profit margin multiplied by the sum of the booking. No, James, those two will not be accurate. Yeah, this will not be accurate. Using the average, no, it will not be accurate. Let's get the accurate figure. Okay, this is our profit margin. Okay, Because if average is 18%, you see that we are looking at different booking prices. We are looking at different booking prices. So this will have impact on the quality, the value that we are going to get. So let's see how we can use DAX to solve this problem. So I'll create a new measure, okay. I'll probably use the one that we just used for the try. Yeah, let's use the try one. So I'm going to click on it. Okay, now instead of this formula, we are going to get rid of it. And one of the functions that we can use to do this is sum x. Sum x, okay. So we are summing, but we are looking at each row. That's a function we can use. So we use sum x, okay. So we have sum x here. Now let's read the explanation for sum x. Let's see if we can get some. Let's look at sum x. The screen tip is not coming, but no problem. Let's select the sum x, okay. So what does it do? The first thing that we need to do for the sum x is a table. The table, what table are we using? Here we have just one table, and that's the order quantity. So I'm going to pick the order quantity table, then comma. Now it's saying expression. So now read this. It says return the sum of an expression evaluated for each row in a table, for each row. So what we are saying is that go to the orders database, and then when you go there, pick the booking, okay, the booking cost, multiply it by the profit margin. That's what this formula will do. So the sum x, first it needs the table. So the table here, we have one table. That's the order database. Then the expression is that you should multiply the booking price by the profit margin. But the sum x work row by row. So what it means is that it's going to perform these calculations row by row. So to go through each of the rows, multiply the booking cost by the profit margin, booking cost by the profit margin. Then at the end, because this is sum, at the end is going to sum the total value for you. Okay, so here I just close the brackets, press enter. And now when you check this, let's use this on a card. Now when you check this and put it on the card, and then go to the data label, display unit, I'll pick none. And now if you take a look at this, this is exactly the same value that we are getting here. This one is coming from a calculated column. This one is coming from a measure directly. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to go around it if you want to use a measure. Always we advise go with a measure instead of the calculated column. Okay, so that's it. So let me remove these guys out of this place. Now, let's look at the last KPI. That's our total customers. The total customers, okay. Our total customers. So here we also need another measure, which is going to count the customer ID. But one thing is that this column here, the customer ID column, if you take a look at the original data, we have customer ID. We might have a customer who have done multiple bookings. Okay, remember this data is from it's from 2010 up to 2019 or so. So you could have one customer who have done multiple bookings. Okay, so we are going to count the customer ID column. Okay, we are going to count the customer ID column, but here we are going to do a distant count. What it means is that when there are duplicates, each of the items is going to be counted just once. So let's see how we can do this using a measure. So I'll go to new measure. And then I'm going to do total customers. Now say my total customers is equal to distant count. Okay, so here we have distant count. Okay, now it's asking, let's read the parameters or the argument that we need to provide. So this needs the column that we want to count. So here we need the customer ID column. So I'll just type customer. And here we have the customer ID. So I'm going to select this and close the bracket and then press enter. And now we have it here, so we can format it. So I would click here to select it and also put it on a card. So I just click on the card and you are seeing 67K, okay? Now to avoid all these formatting thing, I'm just going to copy this and paste it, and I bring it here and then drag my total customers into the fields. And now we have it here. Let's go to the format and then change the display unit to none, because this value is not all that huge. So you have our total customers. Let's bring it here. And now we have the value here. And if you take a look at this, the same as the total booking. What it means is that we have different customers. So we don't have any returning customers. The customers who use the platform have not returned. We don't have any customers who have done multiple bookings. So the number of bookings that we have received is the same as the number of customers. What it means is that each of the customers are unique, or they are first-time customers. Okay, so now we have these ones here. So these are the key numbers that are going to be on top of our visualization. Okay, now let's go ahead and do another calculations. Okay, now the next one is looking at our top destination, where our customers are coming from. Okay, so for all the destinations, we want to see how many customers are coming from the different locations. So what I can do is that we have the destination country here. So I can check this box and then use my total customers measure. Okay, that's where the measures come in. So I'll go and then look for my total customers. So you see that here, when you come to the field for this one is using map by default. Okay, we are not going to use map. We are going to use a bar chart. Okay, so I'm going to pick a bar chart here. This is 100% stacked. So I'm going to pick this clustered bar chart. Okay, so here you see that the axis is for destination country. Now I want to count the number of customers for each of the countries. So I'll drag my customers into the values. And now we have for each of the locations, we have the total customers that are coming from each of the locations. So I'm going to place it here. Then resize this. Okay. But here, I'm not interested in the entire data set or the entire countries. I just want to see my top 10 or maybe probably top 5 locations where our customers are coming from. Okay, just top 5. Now, how do you do top 5? How do you do top 5? Okay, that's what I'm going to show you right now. So I'll select this visualization. Okay, then you see that we have this pane here. By default, yours may be collapsed, okay, but I'm going to click on it to expand it. Okay. So you see this footer here, the footer pane here. Now you see this, okay, you see the destination country. The fields that we are using for this visualization is here. We are looking at destination and the total customers. Here we can filter this visual directly, okay. So here you see this option here, which you can use to expand the range here. Okay, so you can click on this to expand. So here you see that all the destination countries are here. So you can select the ones that you want to show and the ones that you don't want to show. But this time I don't have that option. I want it to always show me the top 5 destinations. So here we have the filter type. You see, we have basic. So the basic is the ones where you can select specific countries. So if I want to show just Brazil and then Canada, you see that now we are showing Brazil and Canada. I don't want, this one is manual, but I want the whole thing to be automatic, okay, or automated. So here's sort of basic. You see that we have top N. So I'm going to change to top N. So you have picked top N. The next is show top. If you want to show the bottom, you can also change it and pick bottom. So it's just like the filters pane in Power and in Excel, okay, where you can filter the item to show you the top 5 or top 10. So here I'm saying top how many? Saying top 5, okay. By what value? By what value do you want to show the top 5? I want to show the top 5 based on the number of customers. So you should show the top 5 destinations by the total number of customers. So hereby, you can drag a field into this. Now, what field are you dragging? We are dragging our total customers measure. So I'll drag this and put it here. Okay, very simple. Now you don't see anything here. but you have to click on apply filter. When you apply the filter, now it just shows the first 5 or the top 5 here. Okay, it shows just the top 5. Okay, so you see that New Zealand is first, followed by then China is our last, like in terms of China is the 5th one where most of our customers are coming from. Okay, so I'm going to collapse this again and then come back to this. So with this, you see that my image is being covered by this. So what I can do is to turn off the background. Okay, so I'll select this, go to format, and then go to background and turn it off. So my image will show. Next thing I will do is to look at the title. It's too long. Okay, so let's customize it. So here I'll go to format and see that we have the title option here. You can decide to turn it off. You can decide to turn it on. But here you can expand it and this is the title. So here I can change it. Okay, so you say top customer destinations. So that's where most of our customers are traveling to. Okay, top 5. So let's make it top 5 customer destinations. Or yeah, top 5 customer or customers destination. Then press enter. So this will be the title. Let me change the color, not the color, the font family. So I'm changing it and pick the font that we are using here. And that's what I use for most of my visualizations. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the size a bit and maybe use the bold one or semi-bold. That's fine. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do, because I'm using these colors, the next thing I'm going to do is use the color that goes with this. Okay, so I don't want to be using different colors. I want to use at least 2 colors. So I want to use this color. Okay, so if you take a look at the PowerPoint, I have included the color code that we are using. I've included the color code. Okay, so I'm going to send this to you. So this is the color code for this particular color here. So I'm going to copy this and then go to Power BI and then use it for my colors. So I will select this and then go to format. And here we have data colors. Okay, that's the colors for this. So I'll click to expand it. And you see that this is using the default color. You can actually change it to any color that you want to use. Okay, but here I'm going to use my own color code. That's when you come to more colors. If you already have your color code, and always that's what you need to do. If you are using a color, okay, try to get a color code so that you ensure consistency in your dashboard. It's not that you're having different colors for different things. Okay, make sure you use at most 3 colors for your dashboard. Okay, so here when you come to more colors, you see that we have this option where you can paste a color code. So I'm going to paste the color code that I just copied. And then just press enter and click out. And now you see that the color is here. Okay, here I'm not going to include this title here, destination country. I want to get rid of it. Already I have provided a title, top 5 customer destinations. So I don't need this. I'm going to turn off the title for the y-axis. So here on the format, I'll go to y-axis and click to expand. From the options, you see title is set to on. I'm going to set it to off. And now it's gone so that I'll have enough space for this. The same thing, total customers, I'm going to turn off the title on the x-axis. So I'll go to the x and look for the title and then turn it off. So the title is gone. The next is that I want the values to be displayed on the chart. Okay, the values. So I have to add my data labels. On the format, you would see data labels. You see data labels. There's the data label. It's set off. I'm going to send it on. And now you can see the values. Now, because the values are similar, you see 3.4 for all of them because we are using display unit. So I'm going to expand this. In the display unit, I'm going to pick none. Okay, so you can see the actual values here. Okay, now because I have this, I can decide to turn off the x-axis entirely. Okay, you can decide to turn it off. So let me turn it off. So I have enough space for the chart. Okay, so let me resize it nicely here. Okay, that's fine. Now let's also look at the top 5 origin where our customers are coming from. So this has to do with the destination countries where our customers are traveling to. Now, which countries are we receiving our customers, or where are we having most of the bookings coming from? So that when we are advertising our product, we know where to advertise from, or which countries should we focus on. Okay, so here we need our origin country. So I'll just come in here, origin countries column, where our customers are coming from. Why are some of the labels outside? Yeah, that one is by default. Okay, by default, because it has seen some space here. So that's why it's putting them here. Okay, but let's see if you can customize where it should be. So when you come to the data labels, okay, you don't have option to specify where it should be. Okay, so that's by automatic. Okay, so it will be adjusting based on whether it will be able to find a space to place it. Yeah. So now let's go to our origin. So customers, origin countries. Yeah, so we have origin country. And then we also have, we are looking at our customers, where most of them are coming from. And then let's pick a bar or a clustered bar chart here. Okay, so I'm also going to place it here nicely. Okay, and now I need to format this again. I'm not going to do that. What I will do is to copy the formatting that we have applied to this onto this new visualization. So what I will do is to copy this. Okay, so here I'll select it, and you see this format painter. It's just like what we have in Excel. So I'll just click on this and then apply it on this. And now you see that the formatting has been repeated on this visualization. But here, the color, we are not using this blue. Okay, we are using this one. So let me copy the right one. If you look at the sample, I used the red one instead of this. So let me look at the red one. Yeah. So this is the one, the orange color. That's what we are using for the series. Okay. So let's try and use that one instead of the blue. So let me pick. Okay, so I'll select this, go to data colors, and then go to more, and then use this one instead. So I'm going to paste it. Okay, and do same for this. So I'll use this one here. Okay, that's nice. Now, so these are the two ones that we have. Okay. Now, another thing is that we want to know more about customers. Okay, our customers. So how many of our customers are males? How many of them are females? So what I will do is to come here, look for the gender, customer gender. So I'll pick my gender, and then I have the number of customers already here. So total customers is here. Now you see how easy it becomes when you use explicit measures. Okay, so I have this in the form of a table. Let's use a donor chart. Okay, so I'll come here and then pick my donor chart. Now I have this one here. Okay, so let me resize it nicely. Now we need to apply some formatting to this. Okay, then the first one I will do is the colors. I want it to go with the colors that we are using. So I'll come to format and then data colors. So the females, I want to use this. And then the males, I also want to use this for the males. Okay. I prefer the donut chart to the pie chart. Okay, all of them are almost the same, but the donut chart looks better to me. That's why I'm using the donut chart instead of a pie chart. Okay, but all of them does the same work. Okay, yeah. So you have it this way. Now let's see some formatting here. You see that I have a legend, which is explaining the color scheme. Okay, I don't like this legend. Okay, I thought we were alternating the graph colors. Right, I don't, yeah, this is the color. Okay, let me see. Is this, okay, I don't know whether it's the same. No, this is the color that we are using, yeah. Okay. Now what I will do is to select this, come to format, and you see the data label or the detail labels. Let's expand it, okay. So right now it's showing the value and then the percentage. I want it to show the category and the percentage of the total. So it will show female and it will give us the total of our customers who are female, the percentage. So I'm going to pick this. And now you see that the male is here and then the females are here. So it means I can get rid of the legend now. Okay. So what I will do is to go to my legend and then turn it off. So I'll have more space to show the values. Okay, so we have this here. Okay, now let's also look at the customers in different groups. Okay, here we are using the age group. So we see which groups our customers belong, like what age group or bucket do we have most of our customers. So I'll pick the age group and look for my total customers. Okay, and also put this, but I also want to see them in terms of males and females. So what I'm going to do is to pick this, a clustered column chart, or maybe a stacked column chart. So I'll pick this, and here you are seeing our customers in different groups. Okay, so I'm going to bring it here. And here I want to break it down by gender. Okay, so what I can do is to come to my fields and then grab the gender, the customer gender, and then put it into the legend. And now we are seeing it in terms of the gender. So let's resize this nicely here. Let's resize this. So the first thing I'm going to do is to turn off the background. Okay, turn off the background and then also change the color. Okay, so let's resize this. So let's change the title. Okay, let's change the title. So I'll go to the title and then say total customers. Okay, and then we add percentage by gender. And then also change the size. And then the font family, let's pick the one that we are using. So I'll use the bold. Now we have it here. The same way I'll select this. Now I'm going to copy the title. Okay, I don't want to type again. So I'm going to copy this title and then select this. And also come to the title. Put it here. And here we are looking at age group, and gender. Okay, age group. So let's make it age group. Okay. And then also decrease the size. And then the font family. Okay, we are using bold, semi-bold. Okay, so this should be semi-bold. Okay, so now we have it here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to change the color so that it goes with this. So we are using red for the females. Okay, so here when I come here, data colors, the females, we are using the orange. And then the males, we are using this color here. Okay, yeah. And let me, okay, the background is already turned off. So I have this here. Let me go to my y-axis and turn off the title. Okay. Yeah. And then let me do that for the X. I want more space for the visual. Okay. So I'll turn it off for this as well. Now that's fine. So we have this one here. Now the next thing that we are going to do is to look at the trend for our total booking. Okay, the trend for our total booking. So what I will do is to come here and then grab my date. So I'll grab my booking date. Okay, here. And then look at the total booking. So I already have my total booking measure. So I'll select this and then convert it into a line chart. Now we have this one here. Yeah. Okay, that's the total booking by year. Okay. Let's change the color. So I'll come to my data colors and let's use the orange. Now we have it here. Now we can also add a trend line that will help us to know the trend. So here I will select this and then go to this analytics. Okay, analytics. And here we have option for trend line. So I'll click here and then click add. Now this will add a trend line to this visual. Okay, so that's it. Now let's do that for our profit. Okay, we want to see the trend at which our profit has been changing over time. So what I would do is to go to my date And then also grab my total profit. And then put this into a line chart. Also put it here. Okay, and then also change the color, the data color for this. So I'll pick this. And also add a trend. Perfect. So now I have it this way. So let's change, or let's format the headers. Okay. So I'll go to my title. And here I'm just going to decrease the font size and then change the font family to the one that we are using. And also grab this, change the size or decrease the size and change the font family to semi-bold. Okay. And now let's look at the few things that we can add to this visualization. So here we are looking at our hotels, okay, the hotels, the top 10 hotels by rating, okay, or by booking. So here what I will do is to go to hotel name. So we have a column with the hotel name, okay. So for each of the hotels, I want to see their total booking. So I have the total booking. And then I also want to see the amount, the total booking fees that we have received from each of the hotels. So here we have total booking, and we also have the total booking cost measure. Yes, this one. So I'm using this. Now this is going to be a table, okay? So I'm going to bring it here, and then resize this here. Okay, so let me decrease the size here so you can see everything. Okay, so this, I also want to filter it to just the top 10 hotels, okay, just the top 10. So I need someone to guide me. If I want to filter this to the top 10 hotels by total booking, how would I be able to do this? I need someone to lead this. So he's going to do that.
Yes, FestMan. Let me try.
Okay, sure.
So on the filter pane that you've opened, when you've clicked, the table is active. So now under filter on this vision.
Okay.
So what are we? What particular do we use? Or what do we want first?
So I want to see the top 10 hotels by total booking.
By total booking. So you will click on total booking on
total
that
booking.
Pen.
Okay.
Yes. Then under show items, when the value is, then choose top N. Something like top N there.
No, there's nothing like that here.
Oh, I can't see the items. Okay, it's coming. So which options are there? We want top 10, right?
Yeah, top 10, yeah.
Okay. Scroll up. Are those all the items?
Come again?
Are those all the items?
Yeah, these are the items I have here.
Okay, just click on it. I mean, click on the arrow, the down arrow. I think.
So the filters, we want to apply it to the hotel name, okay? So you have to do it at the hotel name, yeah.
Hotel name, yeah. So when you click there, then on the basic filtering, click,
okay.
You see options there. So we'll pick top N.
Okay, I've done that.
Yes, so now on the show items, we've said we want the top 10. So
yes.
Just put the value 10 on the right side of top.
Okay.
Yes, so then click on by what value, then we'll choose, we were saying by what?
Total booking.
By booking, total booking. Then you will just click on add total data fields here.
I have clicked there, nothing is happening.
Okay, so then go and choose the total booking on the fields.
Okay, and then bring it here.
Yes, drag it
What do
there.
I do?
You can drag it or you just click.
Okay.
You check the box. Yeah, sure. Then apply the filter.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so you can actually use a measure that will give you the top N or the top 10 items, and you can use it here. Okay, but here we just want to use the filter pane to do that. So now we have our top 10 hotels by the total booking. But if you take a look at this data, it hasn't been sorted. So now we just click on the header and you'll be able to sort it in order. Okay, so now we have sorted it in the order of total booking. So here I can go ahead and then add my title. Okay, so here I'll go to the format pane and then go to the title. You see that the title is turned off. So I can turn it on and then give it top 10 hotels by booking. And then press enter. Okay. So now let's format it by changing the font family. And then also we decrease the size a bit. Okay. Now the next thing that we are going to do is to add the rating. Okay, the rating for each of the hotels. So what we can do is that there's a column here which has the rating. There's a column where we have the customer rating. So I can actually search for it. I can search for rating, and this is the customer rating. So I can add this to the visualization. Now, if you take a look at this, it seems it's summing the hotel rating. It's summing the hotel rating. Now, let's go to the data view and then watch something here. So now I talked to you about the default summarization. Something like user rating, you can't sum it. But if you check the summarization, you see that it's sum. So here you can actually change the default and pick average, so that wherever we use the hotel rating, we are going to see the average rating instead of the sum of the rating. So now after you have set it to average, when you go back to the report, you can see that now we are having, okay, now let me take it out and then pick it again. And now you can see that now we are seeing just the average rating instead of the entire or the sum of the rating. Okay, now let me decrease this. Okay, let me resize it. And then the background, let me turn off the background. And now you are seeing the average rating. Now with this average rating, I want to use stars, okay, the star rating instead of just 4.2. Now I want to use rating to represent it. Now here you can use a quick measure that will be able to give you the rating in terms of stars. So here I can create a measure. So here we have normal measure that you can create yourself. You can also use a quick measure, which you can use some of the inbuilt measures to be able to come up with some of the calculations for your dashboard. So here we have a measure which is used for rating. So I can click on quick measure. And here we have calculations, and we also have fields. So here with the calculations, when you scroll down, you see that we have a calculation for star rating. Star rating. So I can pick this, and it's asking number of stars. We want to use 5 stars. The value for the lowest star is 0 or maybe 1. Okay. And then the value for the highest rating is still 5. But you see this here, it says base value. What is the base value? The base value has to do with the field, which is going to use to populate the rating. So the base value here is going to be the average user rating. Okay, average user rating. So you need to write a measure which is going to calculate the average user rating. So here I'll create a measure, and I'm going to call this measure average rating. Okay, average rating. So we say average rating, and this will be called to average. Average of what? The user rating or customer rating. We have the hotel rating, yes. And then I'll press enter. Okay, so now I can go ahead and use my quick measure. So new measure, Oh, sorry, not a new measure, a quick measure. So let me click on quick measure. And let's use our rating. So the highest is 5, the lowest is 1. And the base value here, we are going to use the average rating as the base. So I'll drag it and drop it here. And then click OK. I'm not seeing my OK. So after doing this, the next thing that we are going to work on has to do with the filters, okay? So I'm going to apply some slices which are going to use to filter this dashboard. So the first slicer that we are going to use has to do with the age group. So we want to include a slicer for the age groups. And then, so let me go to my visualizations and then pick a slicer. So this will put it into a slicer. So I'm going to resize it and put it here. But instead of it being this way, I'm going to click on the drop down and make it a drop down instead. So I'm going to resize this. So I'm going to turn off the background. So the background off, and then the color. So that has to do with the items. So the items, the font color, I want it to be white. Okay. And then the slicer header, I also want it to be white. So now we have the age group here. So I'll select it again and then go to the slicer header, and then the font family, I'm going to change it to the font that we have been using here. Okay, so I have this one here. So when you click on the drop down, you'll be able to filter by age group. Okay, but it seems that the background is white, so you don't see the values. So I'll select it again, come to the format, then I'll come to items. The background, I'm going to make it this color here. So now when you click on the drop down, you'll be able to see the values. So if I want to filter by 15 to 30 customers, you'll be able to see it here, 30 to 45, and 45 to 60. But one thing is that this is featuring this visualization or this chart, okay, because we use the same age group to develop or to create this chart. So it doesn't make sense for this slicer to filter this. So let's turn off the interaction between the slicer and the visualization that we have here. So what I will do is to select this, and then on the ribbon, you see format. So I'll go to format. Then you see this edit interaction. So what it means is that I want this slicer here, I want this slicer to be disconnected from this visualization. So it means that when I select anything and it filters the other visualizations, it should not filter this particular visualization because already this is showing the customers by age group. So it doesn't make sense for us to filter it by that particular age group slicer here. So I'll select it and then go to edit interactions. And when you select edit interactions, you see that there will be some buttons on top of each of the visualizations. So here it says what filter. And then you also have this none. So here we are going to set it to none when you are looking at this slicer. So I'll turn it off. And now what it means is that if I filter my data with this slicer, it will not filter this particular visualization because I have turned off the interaction. So it's not going to filter this. Okay. So after I'm done, I have to turn it off. So I'll turn it off and the buttons are gone. So now it will be able to filter everything, but it will not filter this particular chart. Now let's copy this slicer, okay? Control C, Control V, and then let's use another field for this. So with this, I want us to use the date, the booking date. So I'll drag the booking date into the field. And now you see that now it's also there whilst we have the age group. So I'm going to remove the age group. And now this is showing just the date of the booking. So when you click on the drop down, see that we have the date here. But with this, I'm going to change the type. And I'm going to pick relative date. And now we have this one here. Okay. Okay, or maybe I can pick between. And now you'll be able to select between certain range. Okay. So you can select your date here. If you want to filter between some range, then you'll be able to use this. So let's bring this one here. Okay. So you can select between a range of the data, okay, and you'll be able to filter it. So here, let me select it and apply some formatting to this. So you have the date input. So the font, I want to make it white for the date input, okay. So now you'll be able to see everything here. Now let's go back and then let's look at the slider. So the slider, the color, I want to use our orange color for the slider. So this has to do with the slider. So you can use this to select a particular range of date and you'll be able to see the insight relating to the date that you have selected from here. Okay, so this we are looking between 1st January 2010 up to 31st July 2017, and you see the trend, okay, across all our data. Okay. Now you can see that this chart here is showing the date. So we don't want this date. Okay, it's okay when you filter this by date. Okay, so that we'll be able to see the trend. It's okay. So you're not going to turn the interaction across any of the visualizations here. Now let's come up with another slicer, which is going to be for our destination countries, okay, or maybe destination city. So I'll pick destination city and then drag it here and then get rid of the age group. So this will give us all the cities. So if maybe they want to filter by a particular destination city, they'll be able to pick it from here. Now let's get another slicer, Control V, which is also going to be for customer gender. So I'll grab my gender here and get rid of the destination country and then do the last slicer. Okay, you can insert as many slices as you want. So I'll select this, and with this, I'm going to make it by the hotel name. So you're going to use hotel name and use it here. Okay, and get rid of the age group. And now we have our destination, our hotel names, which are going to be used for this. So I can select all of them. Okay, I can select all the slices. Okay, and then make sure that they are properly aligned. So after selecting all of them, just like PowerPoint, where you can select multiple items by just dragging and then dragging over the items, you'll be able to select all of them. Then when I go to format, you see this align. So I can decide to pick left align, all of them will be aligned. And then I also pick this distribute vertically to make sure that the spaces between the slices are the same. Okay, so that's it. So now we have this here. Okay, so we are almost through with the dashboard. Now the final thing that we are going to do is the insight. Okay, we want to get insight across the whole thing so that it will be able to provide us with summary of what is going on. So here, to be able to use this insight, we have something we call the smart narrative, which will be able to summarize the data and give you what is going on across the entire dashboard using AI and machine learning. So this is one of the AI visualizations that we have in Power BI. Okay, so here on the visualizations, you see that we have this here, smart narrative. When you click on this, this is going to see the key insight. It's going to go through the data and come up with the key insight or summary, which you can add to our dashboard. So I'm going to click on this smart narrative. Now it's using AI to analyze the entire data and then to come up with the key insight or the key summary, which you can add to our dashboard. And now this is the key insight, okay, or the summary. So here it says that age group from 30 to 45 in gender made up of 50.25% of our total customers. It says that across all the destination countries, total customers range from 807 to 829. Here, another insight is that total profit dropped from this to this during its steepest decline between 2015 and 2017. And this insight is dynamic based on how you filter your data. So here, if I filter the data, I want to show everything, okay? I want to show everything. The whole thing here is going to change. It's going to run the algorithms again and come up with a key insight, which you can add to our dashboard to help our users understand what is going on. So with this, I can select it and then bring it here. Okay, and add it to this pane. So I'm going to resize this and bring it here. Okay. And then turn off the background. Okay. So now when you scroll down, you'll be able to read all the insight that we are getting here. So it says that total booking trended up, resulting in 98.97% between 2010 and 2019. So this insight is coming from the data. Okay, it has been able to go through our data and analyze the data to come up with these key insights or summary, which you can add it here to provide a summary of what is going on in the dashboard. So this is where we are going to end the entire dashboard design program. Okay, so here we have been able to come up with this dashboard. Now, one thing that you will notice, or I would want you to pick from here, is that with all these visualizations that we have done, we could have used Q&A visual in Power BI to build this entire dashboard. Q&A is one of the AI visualizations that we have in Power BI. So with all these visualizations that you are seeing here, we could have used just simple English to be able to get all these insights. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'll go to Q&A and then say something like total booking. This gives us this value here. So if you take a look at this, this is the total booking. So after this one comes, we can convert it into a normal chart, okay, by clicking on this. Now this will give us our total booking, which is just like what we are having here. So with this, I just go to the label, display unit, I just pick none. And you can see that we are getting our total booking. If I want to get something relating to our total profit, I just come here, Q&A. What do you want? Total. If I want to see total profit by year, this will give us the chart that we can also use here. Here I can convert it into a normal chart. And now we have our total booking by year, which you can also use it. Okay, so using the Q&A, even if you are starting out with Power BI, you can also use the Q&A to come up with your dashboard, okay, by just asking questions, and you'll be able to get insight from your data. So I want to thank all of you very much for joining this section. I'm very grateful. I'm sure you have learned one or two things out of this demo.